A very, very, very good morning to you. How you doing this very chilly Tuesday morning? Karibuni sana to your world. And definitely, it being Tuesday, you know, it's all about relationships, matters your heart. And 2 weeks ago, we started a conversation that somehow we've not been able to come to the end of. We start with a mission, but then somehow, just somehow, we get to learn something new, and then it pushes us to the next week. So this is week 3 of conversations around attachment styles, and we're looking forward to absolutely explore so much more when it comes to this. So today's conversation is going to be, probably we'll pick up from last week, of course, but we're talking about attachment styles and traumatic responses. And, you know, our subtopic today is coping mechanisms, and we have a question that we're asking you today. If you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, what would it be? If you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know, what would it be? When I read these questions, nilikuwa tu hivi nikijiangalia, niko like, yo, it probably would be a book of what I would write to younger self, but I don't know what yours is. NTV Kenya is the social media handle to, engage with us. Write to us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram as well, and we'll be looking at your feedback as well. So like I said, 2 weeks ago, we started this conversation. It was just purely attachment styles, right? And when we started, we went through the 4 different kinds of attachment styles. And I just want, before we get like a quick run through, for me to introduce the guests that we have for you today, who've been consistent the last 3 weeks. And on my immediate, Winnie, I miss you. So Winnie's not here, of course. We'd be doing this together. But on my immediate left is Miriam Wangi. Karibu sana. Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
No, nakaivi, gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
Right next to Miriam, we have Bishop Grace Delizu. Karibu sana, Bishop.
Asante sana mwikali.
Corporate look leo, umeamua aje?
Bishop look.
Bishop look. Kwani hizo zingine hazikuangi? Hizo zingine hazikuangi Bishop look. And of course, right next to Bishop Grace is Moffat. Karibu sana, Moffat.
Thank you for having me.
And I love the combination of colors right here.
Asante
There's a green
sana.
popping over there, there's a blue, there's a red. And then, of course, you have my amazing audience. Karibuni sana. Asanteni sana. So we'd like to do like a quick run through of what we studied, learned week 1. And week 1 was attachment style. Maybe Bishop Grace, you can take us through like a quick crash course of what those 4 are and what they do, what they mean.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mwikali. We looked at the attachment styles, and the first one that we looked at was the secure one, meaning that the person right from the when they were children or they were toddlers, or right in the stomach of the uterus or wherever, when they were still in their mother's tummy, there was a secure environment, and therefore they came out as adults that were very secure, independent, loving themselves, and also able to love the other person without suspecting them of anything, a secure environment in totality. The second one that we looked at was the one that was anxious, very anxious, not being able to settle because of the traumas probably experienced as a child. Then the third one was avoidant, dismissive. They block, they tend to block their feelings. They secure their space, and they don't trust anybody. And therefore, it turns out to be a place where they are not very comfortable with what is going on in the relationship. They avoid, they love, but they still avoid. They want, but they don't want. And then the last one that we looked at was the disorganized. And that one is where nothing is in place. The person is not together to carry on with any relationship or whatsoever. Then there's one we looked at that was mentioned by Miriam, fearful, and later I looked at it, and that looked like a concoction of avoidant and anxious. So that was, in short, what we looked at.
That was week 1.
The week 1.
And that gave birth to week 2.
Week 2.
Because we discovered something else, that we have temperaments, we have personality styles, and how do all of this tie up with our attachment styles? So Miriam, maybe you can just give us a quick crash course of last week's episode.
Thank you, Mwikali. So yeah, we did talk about temperaments. So temperaments and personality types are usually genetic and also through nature, how you've grown up. So sometimes when we are born, we take either the personalities of both parents or of one parent, and then also the environment contributes to who you become within those personality types. So the 4 main personality types are choleric. Now, cholerics are born leaders. These are people who are strong in themselves. They are people who are go-getters, goal-oriented, leadership-oriented, know exactly where they're going, know exactly what they don't want, and are not easily changed. Or they're not even easily conquered or broken. This is a person who's like, if we're going to point A, we're going to point A. And then we have sanguines. Sanguines are people who are very outgoing. They're usually called the sunny temperaments. They're people who are very happy, very extroverted, very also they're type A. So cholerics are type A. Sanguines are type A, but in a different way. They are a bit more mellow than the cholerics. They are a bit flexible than the cholerics, but they also are go-getters. They also know what they want and they go for it, but they are spontaneous. Cholerics are set. These are the people who set goals and they go in that direction. They're not spontaneous at all. Sanguines are spontaneous. Okay. Then we have the other type, which is melancholic. These are people who are a bit into themselves, people who think about world issues, are saddened by world issues, are affected by other people's issues. So they're a bit... for lack of a better word, they're the temperaments that we call sad. They're usually they're not boisterous, they're not joyful, they are very, very intuitive, very, very into themselves. Okay. And then we have the phlegmatics. Phlegmatics are more of the sanguines, but on the mellow side. They are easygoing, quiet, they're not go-getters. They are not the type of people who are self-pushers, like they're not self-motivated. Yeah. They need motivation from the outside. So these are people who will go with anything sometimes, you know. But I must say that nobody has one particular personality type, that you're just a straight choleric or a straight melancholic. Yeah. We're a mixture because, again, we come from 2 different parents, right? So we are a mixture of both. Now, those of 2, maybe 2 or more personality types, but mostly 2 dominant personality types. Okay. Now, those now come to meet with attachment styles. Like Bishop has said, attachment styles are mainly what we get from our childhood, how we've grown up, and not only childhood, because our life experiences also promote to how we attach to other people. So attachment styles basically are just how we attach to other people in relationship, either in love relationship, intimate relationships, or even in familial relationships. Because you can even find in a family where there's one particular sibling who just likes staying alone. Yeah. And everybody in the family is wondering, like, why are you always on your own? You eat in your room, you do everything in your room, and you only mix with other people at a particular time, like only when it's necessary. That's because of attachment styles, and mostly promoted by how you grew up. And I said that we could have come from the same family. You could be 10 siblings. Yeah. But you all had different experiences of your parents. Okay. So we usually say no child grew up with the same parent. Okay. No child grew up with the same parent. Yeah. You have a father and a mother that you know, that's my father and that's my father, but they were never the same parent to you, as they were to the next siblings. So you experience your parents differently. And therefore you can find in the family, there's someone who has a very secure attachment, and there's another one who has anxious or even fearful, you know, because of their perception. First of all, triggered by their personality type, right? Like, for example, if you have a child who from the onset is a choleric, and you as a parent you're also another choleric and you're feeling like maybe this child is not adhering to, but is not really obedient to me. You're going to try, out of no reason, not of any fault of yours, you're going to try and break this child.
Okay.
And you find parents break their children a lot. So when this child who was mainly a choleric grows up in a home where they are broken and broken and broken, what do? They become fearful. They're not able to attach, they're not able to see any good in their parent and any good in themselves, because they have been told so many times, you're not good enough, you have a big head, you do this. So they only see themselves as, I'm never good enough. And my parent is this monster. Are you getting? Because all they ever do is break me. So this person, yes, they're cholerics, but they will have a fearful attachment. They will go into the world not trusting people. But they are cholerics. Now, these are what you call wounded cholerics. They can be very dangerous. Because these are people who still want to show Nico.
Because they can't help it. That is who they are.
Exactly, that's who they are. But at the same time, they are trying to be dominant, but at the same time inside, they don't trust themselves and they don't trust anyone. So they show up very wounded, very ready to break others, just to exert themselves and to show that, Nico, I'm somebody. I'm somebody. So so that's how now the attachment styles and the temperaments work. So you'll find a phlegmatic who probably has grown up in a home where the parents are very secure and they're telling them, you can do this, you're great. Any small thing that they do, they're told, they're encouraged, you can do this, you can conquer the world. So they're still phlegmatics. They're still people who are easygoing and who still need to be motivated, but they've grown up in a secure environment. So when they go out there, they have their confidence. They see the goodness in people. They see the goodness in themselves. And so they don't have any fear. But that doesn't make them leaders and I'm ready to take on the world. For them, they're like, it's okay. I'm okay being behind the scenes, being behind the camera. But I know who I am. And I know what I represent. And I know what I'm looking for in other people, in other relationships. And I know what I bring to the table.
Wow.
Crash course.
Tuko pamoja, class? Moffat, if there's anything that we've left out from week 1 and week 2, we're doing like a quick crash course of those 2 weeks.
Yes, I think my fellow guests have been able to handle it pretty well. Only to say, probably to introduce us now into what we are here to talk about. Marianne said that trauma, to a large extent, makes us, love the way we do, or rather, our attachment styles as a result of what we have experienced. Probably our traumas, meaning that somebody who is anxious and who wants to cling, when we realize that this came as a result of parents who are not consistent, and therefore they want to look for that somebody whom is not going to be away from where they are. And therefore it becomes quite a challenge, even in the way we relate with others at workplace, even at homes. And I just realized that what we are talking about really affects even our workplaces.
That's true.
Yes, there's a place I went, we were exploring workplace personalities. Why do people interact with others, the way they do? And many times, because of being informed by their past experiences, sometimes we come wearing those lenses. And we want to look at everybody, we want to look at our bosses, we want to look at our colleagues, wearing those lenses of trauma. And sometimes it can, become too much to handle, even for your own colleagues at work. Now, when it comes to our homes, in marriage and all that, the relationship again can really be affected by our traumas. And therefore, like we said, that it is important for us now to look at where we are coming from, so that first of all we can understand ourselves and we can be able to have a glimpse of the reason why we love the way we do. But I must say that sometimes people who have had an anxious attachment style, or disorganized, or those other styles that we have talked about, they usually have a script inside themselves. For example, an anxious person might be saying, I cannot trust. You know, it is difficult for me to, to trust this person. You know, somebody who is, and they usually say, it is important for me to cling so that I'm not left,
hurt, yes.
You know, I'm not hurt.
Yeah.
And these are the people who will even persevere, you know, being in those intimate relationships. They are hurting, but they cannot leave. And they tend to feel like, hey, I cannot do the world. I cannot live. I cannot hack what is happening around me without him, in as much as he or she is injuring you even more. Somebody who had a secure attachment, they will say, I can crack this on my own. You know, they have a script. I know I have enough support system around me. People trust me. The world trusts me. And therefore, I can hack it. I can, and that is why they will be able to understand, hey, this is in conflict with what I have known all along. Yes. And I feel like this is not the time for me to cling on. It's time for me to move on, because this is not what I understand as the world to be. Yeah. When you look at people who are disorganized, again, we talk of this kind of attachment arises as a result of our traumatic experiences that we have had with our caregivers. Yeah. Sometimes these are people who will again have a script inside themselves, and they say, I am willing to love, but at the same time I'm fearful. Yeah. I'm fearful of being hurt. Yeah. So they are in that particular dilemma. Yes. And it can pose a very big challenge.
That is so true. And the goal is to get to secure. Yeah. The goal is to heal. That is the goal. That is the goal. And probably the last 2 weeks we've been trying to get there. Yeah. Hopefully we will get there today. And there's something else that Winnie kept asking last week, and I don't think we got around to it. How we show up in relationships, you know. How, who attracts who? And why are they attracted to certain attachment styles? What are those traumas that we're looking for that are feeding into, you know, the person that I've grown up being, without probably taking care of myself or knowing that I'm in that situation or position, or that is my attachment style? What does that look like? Hopefully today we will get to that part of the conversation. But right now we need to take a quick commercial break, pay our bills. We'll be right back.
We're bringing you the hottest show in town. From exclusive interviews with the biggest names in the game.
When you hear music, now ukose kuona dance, the way you wanna dance bila muziki.
You watching Kwetu Mix, respect the OGs. Yeah.
To a DJ set that will knock your socks off.
Kwetu Mix NTV, Monday mpaka Friday, let's go.
Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Kwetu Mix every weekday only on NTV.
Kwetu Mix, in association with Airtel.
Subscribe to the Smarter Bundle today. Dial *544# or visit My Airtel app. Airtel Smarter Bundle. Browse, chat, call. Airtel Money. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Your mornings just got louder, fresher, and way more fun. The Vibe Shift.
Turning up your late mornings with real talk, hot topics, and straight vibes.
From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., we're diving into the stories you care about.
Plus celebrity drops, guilty pleasure playlist.
So whether you're walking, chilling, or on the move, we've got you covered.
Catch Aseli and Claudia every weekday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Only on Nation FM. Your voice, your vibe.
This week on the Elevate Show.
Marriage has a way of toning you down. And if you're famous, rich, and single, you're in trouble.
People snoop. Yeah. People pressurize you when you become popular. And people judge you harshly. Your children must be special. Everything about you must be there, and they did not give you any money.
You will think that you're special. You forget the gift and you nurture the fame. You forget that the gift was the seed, the fame was the fruit.
Let your partner, your wife, your husband be the first confidant, be the one you reason with, you make blunders with, you make plans with, you confide with. When your partner is your first person you're corresponding with, you will win.
This Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. only on NTV.
The truth is not governed. The truth governs our beliefs, our faith, the trust we give, the democracy we seek. When held back, it always breaks free. Seek the truth. Set yourself free. Subscribe to read online at epaper.nation.africa. Daily Nation, the truth unfiltered.
Welcome back to Your World Tuesday edition. We're continuing a conversation we started last week, but one, about attachment styles. And today we're looking at attachment style and how we respond to traumas, what that means when you tie it all up together. Why do we behave the way that we do? Why do we attract the people that we do? And I think you said it nicely last week. I can't remember who said it last week, that you're dating the same person. I don't know if it was on air, off air, because this conversation continued, but it was, why do you feel like you keep dating the same person over and over again? Kama, Nanjoro, na Ucheng.
It's just the names.
It's just the names, but Tabia, ni same. What exactly happens? And just before we get into that, the question we're asking you today is, if you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, and if you've been following this conversation, it's been 2 weeks of unlearning a lot. Knowing what you know now, what would it be? If you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, what would it be? NTV Kenya on all our social media platforms, and that's the question right there, just in case nilikuwa naisoma haraka. If you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, what would it be? Our lines are also open, so please feel free to call us. We are live. Our WhatsApp number as well, iko huko, tutumie tu message, we'll go through that as well. But Miriam, ni nini hiyo? Why are they all the same? This just name, probably sometimes it's exactly even how they look. It's not just the habits. They all have like a straight jawline. And they're jawline inafanana, jina tu ndio different, probably where they come from is different, but it's the same person. What is that?
Like I said last time, when you guys were asking, would you date outside of your type?
Yes.
And I said your type is your trauma.
Yes, you did.
The type the type you're going for is your trauma. And like I was telling you over the break, I had a conversation with my friend yesterday, and we were talking, and we realized, Mwikali, unless you heal your traumas, you will keep attracting the same person, because trauma is a magnet. Now, this is how it works.
Yes, please. Break it down.
Now, if you have a particular trauma, let's say you're the type of person who you've been hurt when you were growing up, and you blocked yourself, maybe you became fearful, because those are fearfuls and avoidants are the ones who block themselves a lot from love without really knowing. And they told themselves, I will never open myself up for love because I'm afraid of being hurt. I will never give what I have because I'm afraid if I share with the world what I have and who I am, I will still be broken. So what do? I put barbed wire around my heart and padlock and a gate and everything. So your heart is so closed in, and you're really not looking. You want a relationship, but you really don't want. So it's one of those things you can't understand. You want to be loved, you want to have the benefits of a relationship, but when it gets intimate and it gets to a point where you have to be now vulnerable and give yourself fully as a person, you shut off. Now, if you're that type of a person, guess who you're going to attract without knowing? Because you're looking for a relationship, but you're not looking for a relationship. You're going to attract an avoidant. Why? Because you're not really looking to be in a relationship, and avoidants are not looking for commitment. So you enter a relationship thinking you want, like in your head, you're telling yourself, I want to have a commitment. I want to be in a relationship. But you're not ready to fully expose yourself to a relationship. You are not fully ready to be vulnerable or intimate. You are going to keep attracting an avoidant. They come, they love bomb you for the very beginning, but when things start getting serious within 3 months or 4 months, you're ghosted. You move to the next relationship, same script.
The avoidant who is attracting this, they also want to be ghosted. They are also ghosting. We are also ghosting.
You're both ghosting each other. But mostly, like, for a woman, let me speak in the sense of a woman.
Yeah.
Mostly women fall in anxious. Mostly women fall in anxious, all right?
Yeah.
But also an anxious person is a person who thinks they want a relationship, but they're not ready to show up in that relationship fully in their element.
Okay.
So there are things you won't fully be vulnerable in your space. You're thinking you're giving your all, but you're mostly holding on to your fear of losing this person.
Okay.
So in the process of you being fearful of what you're getting, you're actually just going to attract an avoidant. It's like opposites attract.
Yeah.
You're this anxious who wants to cling on to someone, but you're getting this person who's ready to run away from you, but thinks they want to be in a relationship. I was actually, this is serious. When you see people, have you ever looked at people who end up in abusive relationship? If you study them properly, they come from a family where the father or someone was abusive. And they're the same ones who kept saying, I will never end up with a man like this.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's all they know. They, first of all, because of growing up in that environment, they have already told themselves, mimi sitakuwa kama madhe alikaa tu hivi akakuwa hivi, now look what happened. So they've shut themselves for love subconsciously. They've shut themselves up. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. They've shut themselves up completely subconsciously for love.
Yeah.
But on the surface level, they want love because everybody desires to be loved.
Yeah.
Love is a need. We actually want to be loved, right? And wherever you go, you want that appreciation. Even in the office, you want acknowledgement, you want affection. So as a human need, you will be looking to be loved. But subconsciously, you have shut yourself up because of what you have seen in your family. Now, guess what? You are going to still attract such a man. Yeah. A man who is completely avoidant, a man who wants to lord it over you, a man who will end up being your father. Women end up marrying their fathers. And that's why we are saying it is so important to heal your trauma before you get into a relationship. You see that question that you're asking?
Yeah.
I think the best answer would be, if I was to talk to my younger self, what I would tell my younger self is, usikimbilie relationships. First, know who you are.
Yeah.
Do inner work. And in fact, that's something we're telling people now before they get married.
Yeah.
Before you get married, heal your inner child. Do inner work. Heal. Because you're only going to take traumas into that marriage. And this other person is also coming in with your traumas. Once you heal yourself, then you're healthy to be in a relationship. You're healthy to actually open your eyes and see, instead of the Kamau and the Njoroge, now you will even see Godfrey or someone. Different look. Like your eyes will open up. You're able to see someone different whom you would never have looked at before.
Yes.
Because after all, they were not your type. They were not fitting into your trauma. But now because you've healed yourself, you realize, I am actually attracting a different kind of person. Hey, I like it.
Yeah.
He's different from who I usually see. He's different from the bad boys or bad girls or whatever. But because I am healed, I am able to see the value that they bring to the table.
Absolutely.
I was listening to someone say that they were very much interested in someone and they thought that was going to be their husband. And they went for him all the way, until they started talking with him directly and the guy was brutal. He was horrible. And she realized, man, I've attracted a terrible person. And then there's a guy who was into her, who kept following her, who kept telling her one day you'll be my wife. And her, she's like, over my dead body, no, you're not my type. Go. You don't talk the talk, you don't walk the walk, you don't even look, you don't have the look. Yeah. And she's like, there's no way. But But later on, as she did work on herself and she healed and she started talking with this guy every day, she started realizing, well, he's rough on the edges, but wait, he's so nice, he's so gentle, he's so good, he actually speaks to my femininity. She realized he's actually a really good person. But if you ask her, was that your type and did you ever think, they're married now, and did you ever think you'd get married to him? She's like, no. Never. That he would never have appeared anywhere in my radar. But now because she healed, she was able to see the value in him, you know. But so long as your trauma is speaking louder than you, than the person that you are, you will never settle with the right person. You'll always end up with your trauma. Someone to come and dunga you all the more.
Mnajiona? Sawa? Ama mnajiona?
Yes, just to add on to what she has said. There's a gentleman I met, and the gentleman comes from a very abusive family. And when I was talking to him, because I talked to him before they got married, he told me he discovered himself, he discovered his environment. That is to say, he became self-aware of what was going on in the family where he came from. And he made a conscious decision that he was never going to be what was in his family. One, the father was a drunkard. Two, he used to sleep out. Three, very abusive, and even to the children. And he told me that is what I've discovered. I've taken my time, because from the time he planned to get married, he took about 4 years just to go through himself, discover himself, and see how he will deal with whatever was going on. Because he realized that he might take what he has collected into his marriage. And when they were dating, he realized that even when whatever it is that was coming up, because all those bad things would try to crop up, because he had, you know, been socialized in a very bad environment, very chaotic, very abusive, very violent, and sometimes he would feel, she has kept me here, she has not come. And he would begin to feel like, no, I have to react, I have to stand up and go. But he kept telling himself, I have to be calm. Because I asked him, did you seek any help from, you know, therapists or anybody? He said, no, I decided I was going to self-heal. Take care of myself. Sit there and wait. Keep talking to the inner me. That you have to be patient, you have to be this, you have to be a good man, you have to be a gentleman. Now, that was 4 years into marriage. I've seen him now 5 years after the marriage, you know? And the marriage is very beautiful. They are going on well. And I asked him, how is it? He said, those challenges sometimes want to show up. But I've kept the communications open. I've not suppressed, because suppressed will always show up. I've tried to heal and, you know, talk about what I went through when I was a child, to my spouse, to myself, many times. I look at the mirror and I speak to myself and say, you know what? I will be a better man. I will be a better husband. I'm going to be the best father to my children. And it is working.
Oh my God. Because it is one thing to wish it, and it's another thing to actually do the work. To wish not to be like your father or not to be like your mother, it's a thought. But there needs to be, it needs to be followed by
I think you have to be
action.
firm. You have to be decisive on it. You have to decide and say, you know what, I'm going to be this and move on with it.
She said the key word. Self-awareness. That's the key word, self-awareness. Like, are you aware of who you are? Are you aware of the pain you carry? Are you aware of the trauma you carried from your childhood? Because if you're not aware, then you can't even do the work. You can't. Because you see, this is a very self-aware guy. For him to be able to even do mirror work, we call it mirror work, and it works very well. For him to be able to do that, he knows when he's about to get angry. He knows his threshold for anger, and therefore he sees it coming and he's like, I choose not to be reactive. I choose to be patient with her. I choose to be kind with her. So he's feeling it coming. It's not that he's not feeling it coming. And most of the time where we react even because of our traumas is because you're not self-aware. Sometimes you'll feel the anger coming and you'll still be like, kaende. Like, you know, You're not telling yourself,
calm down,
calm down, and
it.
That's a very self-aware guy.
Yeah.
And he's doing inner work himself. That's very commendable.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Moffat, are secure people that rare? Because I mean, we've been talking about how we attract and it's our traumas and all of that. Is it as hard as well for secure people to identify each other? What happens in the space of people who are securely attached?
Thank you, Mwikali. I want to borrow into what Miriam had said in our previous session.
Yes.
That in as much as we are talking about secure and all those other attachments, children react differently to their caregivers.
Yes.
Meaning that you can also be raised in what we can call a secure environment.
Yeah.
But then you also begin to exhibit some weird tendencies. Not because of the way you are raised up, but maybe because of the environment aspect. So I would say that securely attached individuals are not rare. They are there.
Yes.
And I would also want to say it all boils down to the question of rewriting our scripts.
Absolutely.
The moment we rewrite our scripts, because even this securely attached person, when they are saying, I am loved, I will hack it, because that is their internal script that they usually have.
Yeah.
I'm loved, I have people around me, and therefore I can hack it. But the reality of the matter is, it's not everything you are able to hack, in life. Some of even those we call securely attached people, there are times when they will jump out of their relationships because they do not want to be patient to rectify a situation so that it can align to what a secure world looks like for them. And they probably jump out prematurely in a relationship.
Okay.
But I want to say this.
Yes.
And I know we have our bishop here, but allow me to to borrow something from scriptures because I also read scriptures.
Okay.
Now, marriage is we usually say that we are one but separate.
Yes.
Okay? Now, it is a very perfect institution as far as God designed it.
Okay.
It's a perfect institution. But in his own wisdom, he decided that it's going to be run by two imperfect people. The institution itself is perfect. God doesn't make anything imperfect.
Yes.
But he decided that it's going to be run by two imperfect people.
That's true.
Therefore, we need to ask ourselves this fundamental question. What is the purpose of marriage? Let me tell you, Mwikali, the whole essence of marriage is to reveal our imperfections. Because of its perfect nature, it reveals who we are.
Yeah.
And it is so interesting.
Yes.
These two imperfect people are the ones who have been mandated to reveal the imperfections of each other.
Whew.
Okay?
Yes.
Depending on where they are coming from.
Yeah.
And they reveal. That is why somebody will say, you are rude. Okay? But you cannot see it because when we come back to psychology, come back to psychology, we see the Johari window.
Yes.
The people who, that which you know about yourself and others do not know.
Yes.
Then there is that which others know about yourself and you don't know.
Yes.
And in a marriage context, you have got a lot that you don't know and your partner can see.
Yeah.
And therefore now it calls for patience as we rewrite our scripts. Let me give an example. I have handled a situation whereby somebody grew up in a very cold family. I mean, a family that made them to be... Have you seen people who are just cold?
Yeah.
That when you get into that home, everybody is... The father is reading a newspaper.
Yes.
The mother is busy in the kitchen.
Yes.
The children are with the phones.
Yes.
I mean, that very cold. And this boy lacked the warmth, and especially the warmth of the mother.
Yes.
Now, when this gentleman got married, and I want to bring in the aspect of how we begin now to play out, and we begin to say that I thought that when I was getting married, this is the style or this is the personality I was attracting. Then you realize that upon getting married, you are beginning to get the same results as you are getting in your own family.
Yes.
So this gentleman is saying he comes into this marriage with his antennas very high.
Yeah.
That I want to get somebody who is very warm, who is very kind, who is very generous, who is responsive. But then he gets married to this girl, and he begins to say, he begins to fear that she might turn out to be like his mother.
The mother, yeah.
And you know what? He begins to fight so that he can restrain this woman subconsciously. All this is a battle that is being fought in the mind. But again, it begins to bring manifest physically. So he begins to fight so that subconsciously he is telling himself, I don't want her to be like my mother. But now you are forgetting that the girl does not come from the same background as you are. She comes from a very secure environment. But as he begins to fight, he is producing similar results, because he'll be like, you are not attentive to our children, you don't do nice meals for them, you are not this, you are not that. You know, that is what you want. And I like what Marianne said, that we attract our traumas. Or rather, we love because of our traumas. Okay? So he wants to love, basing it on where he is coming from, but not basing it on what this girl is bringing on the table. And therefore he begins to fight, and he ends up having similar.
Everybody on their phone, very, very cold.
So, marriage, we are one yet separate. Okay? One yet separate. And when I say that we are one but separate, we talk of what we call self-differentiation. Are you differentiated? Can you be able to love, but this is who I am?
Can we take a pause, quick pause right there, and then we come back to that? Because I think it's very powerful, because sometimes we are all up in everybody's spaces. You forget to fully become, especially in a setup where you're dating. And I think it's even worse when you start dating when you're very young. Then you never get to the point where you know who you really are independently. Yo, jameni, swali la leo ni rahisi sana. Tunauliza, if you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, what would it be? If you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, what would it be? And we've got a few comments on Facebook. Chani kwambie, Mabel, I cannot see. Oh, yeah, thank you. Leave that woman and run. That's what you'd tell your younger self. There is Bashara Francis. Nasir Isaac says, don't get married early first, okay? Omusakuru wa Amakina says, there are three best and a must be in thriving relationships: family relationship, creator relationship, money relationship. Any other relationship is not a must have. Christine Tawi says, whatever happens, don't get married or you get depressed and die young. Yeah, many Christine. Wachuti says, be a priest and stay away from shenanigans. Stella Paul says, never love too much, never care too much, never trust too much. No one cares about that. Love yourself more. Okay, Papa, love yourself. Miko to sour. Red Ricky says, true love do not exist except from a parent. Yeah, many Red. Gola Ricky says, I tell my younger self, don't date to fill a void. You'll end up bleeding on people who didn't cut you. Heal fast.
That's beautiful.
Date from a place of wholeness, not desperation.
Hey,
the right relationship should complement your healing, not complicate your wounds.
Good one.
Jasper says, in everything you do, cultivate inner peace. Very paramount.
Wow.
Musa Muha says, I tell my younger self this: love is not just about butterflies. Hey, It's about boundaries.
Yes.
Balance and becoming.
Yep.
Don't lose yourself trying to keep someone else.
That's right.
The right person won't fear your growth, they'll water it. And remember, red flags don't turn green with time. Pay attention to how you feel, not just how they make you feel. Wow. Protect your peace, don't beg for love, and never confuse being chosen with being valued.
Wow.
The real ones don't play with your heart. They protect it, even from themselves.
Wow, those are amazing comments.
Wow. Powerful comments. We'll be reading some more from our WhatsApp number. We are live, and our phone number is right there on the screens. Please make sure to call us, and we'll be answering all of your questions. Right now, though, we need to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
The world champion baby. Nahi ni makofi ya Morphix, which absorbs the liquid 3 times faster na haiwezi leak even in 50 different movements. Renewed Morphix, ultimate quality.
In Kenya, public procurement powers nearly a third of all government spending. But for too long, delays, red tape, and corruption slowed our progress. Now, the game has changed. Introducing the Electronic Government Procurement System, EGP, a digital-first platform that makes public procurement faster, fairer, and fully transparent. Suppliers bid from anywhere. Citizens track every shilling spent. No more paper, no more guesswork. EGP is empowering SMEs, youth, women, and all Kenyans to take part in building our nation. Join the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, John Mbadi, and the technical team this Friday, 27th June 2025 from 7 a.m. on Fixing the Nation as they unpack how EGP will transform public procurement for good. We turn up the vibes.
Wache mambo za algebra. Find your ex, ni mtoe wapi?
Support talent.
Okay. I don't need no drama when you call.
Feel the beats and experience the buzz. Tuna Wakalisha. Yes, it's beats and buzz. Vibes upon vibes. With the favorite chocolate, Natalie Githinji, Laura Mbatha, and the beatmaster DJ Twinizzle. Weekdays from 4 to 6:30 p.m. only on NTV.
Your ride home is about to shift into high gear.
New laughs,
fresh beats,
hot topics,
and zero traffic on the vibes. Do not miss this vibe.
Tuko na wewe bumper to watch.
Bumper?
Bumper to watch.
Bumper.
Bumper to watch.
Bumper.
Power. Lovelier.
Power.
Livelier.
Power.
Plucked into what gives you.
The all-new Ride and Vibe with Harry and Nyanduko. Weekday afternoons from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Only on Nation FM. Your voice, your vibe.
This week on The Elevate Show.
Marriage has a way of toning you down. And if you're famous, rich, and single, you're in trouble.
People snoop. Yes. People pressurize you when you become popular. And people judge you harshly. Your children must be special. Everything about you must be there, and they did not give you any money.
You will think that you're special. You forget the gift and you nurture the fame. You forget that the gift was the seed, the fame was the fruit.
Let your partner, your wife, your husband be the first confidant, be the one you reason with, you make blunders with, you make plans with, you confide with. When your partner is your first person you're corresponding with, you will win.
This Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. only on NTV.
Welcome back to Your World Tuesday edition. Somebody suggested that we should have cameras rolling during the breaks because, first of all, my family would disown me. I am telling all the family secrets here. It's therapy session for everybody else. But hey, we are back. We're talking about trauma responses and your attachment style. Why do you attract the people that you attract? Why do you feel ni kama si nani haiwezi, and then you end up having nani all your life, and it's not the right thing, and the importance of healing as well. And the question we're asking you today is, if you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, what would it be? If you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, what would it be? NTV Kenya on all our social media platforms. But we have feedback from our WhatsApp line, so let's take a look at that. And it says, hello guys. So my brother, he is an introvert, but also goes out once in a while. He is an independent and overthinker. Now, he is a 5'4", maybe 5'5". He says he doesn't want to date at the moment, though maybe he has esteem issues. How can I help him? Because he even took self-defense classes to be what they call a protective man. And he is a great-looking guy and a good guy in general. That's what my female friends tell me. He is into tall ladies, not so tall and not so short. Most of them seem not interested. Do you guys know of a couple that they are of the same height, or maybe the lady is a bit taller and it's working? I'll make sure to record your response and send it to him. So we'll have somebody pick up that. Hey Mwikali, I keep attracting guys who are baby daddies. Which trauma should I heal? Mtu mmoja kwa panel ashike hiyo pia. Bishop amechukua hiyo. Baby daddies. Morning Mwikali. How about people who cannot stay without a relationship? They literally hop from one person to the next, ask what causes this. Sadly, some of the engagements have been abusive. They've never given themselves a break to be alone, at least to evaluate self. Okay? Good morning, Your World. I'm curious, how do you heal as a young woman? All I hear is heal. But is there like a tutorial to do that? Kind regards, Kahwai. So I think that's a really good one as well. Cheruto from Nairobi. What I would tell my younger self: work on yourself, love yourself, choose yourself every time and learn a skill each day. Involve yourself in activities that grow you. Focus on your education for those in campus. What Miriam is addressing is really true. This is what I would tell a 19-year-old. Beautiful. And we have one more. Hi, what I would tell younger self about the relationship is this. I think there's a picture right there. Hey there, it's Charlene from Githurai. If I could go back in time, I'd tell my younger self to live life with an open heart and an expectant mind. The truth is, anything can happen and people can change. So I'd advise myself to stay flexible, be open to new experiences, and never tie my happiness to someone else's presence. My peace is worth more than any relationship. Oh, yeah. Hello, NTV. This is Veronica Getao. Shout out to my lecturer, Dr. Moffat. And Veronica says, lazima andike bonge la point hapa. Doctor is in the building. Protect your peace, know your worth, and never settle for less than mutual love, respect, and effort. The right person will value you without needing to be convinced.
Wow.
We are busy convincing people, aren't we? Tukapo nipende weye. Ati please nipende. nitakuonyesha loving ukinipenda tu. Those are the things we're doing out here. So I don't know where do we start? What questions? Yes. Dr. Moffat. Sasa tumechange. Nimekuita tu Moffat.
Thank you. Asante sana. Thank you so much for that student of mine.
Yes.
I'm a lecturer at Pan-Africa Christian University. Now, we were talking about how we ought to carry ourselves in intimate relationships and in marriages, so that we can be able to slow down on those very big expectations that we have from others. And we said that sometimes we can end up acquiring or getting the same results that we are running away from. And we also said that, I also needed to say that marriage is a journey, because it's a journey that is done by these two imperfect people who walk through this journey as they reveal each other's weaknesses and imperfections. And we say that that is the whole essence of marriage. It reveals imperfections. And therefore there needs to be grace, there needs to be gentleness as we relearn, because when we are being revealed, Mikali, it is usually very uncomfortable. When somebody says that, I don't like the way you talked to me. And because we also need to understand that there is that which others see in us, but we cannot see ourselves. Sometimes I crack jokes and I say, even Jesus asked his disciples, whom do people say that I am? You know? So it is always important for us to allow our partners to share with us with the gentleness, with the kindness, whom they feel or they think that we are, so that we can be able to heal. I strongly believe that even those attachment wounds that we come carrying, those baggages that we carry into marriage, if somebody gets somebody who is gentle, who is kind, it is possible for us to heal those traumas in a marriage relationship. If we can be gentle with one another. Now, I also need to say that people in intimate relationships should learn how to celebrate differences. Okay? It is not possible. And as a matter of fact, you see even those attachment styles and personalities that we think that we are attracting people who are our kind. And that is what happens by default. But do you know, if you got married to someone who is like you, talks like you, walks like you, it will be boring. People will begin to crave for something new in that relationship. And therefore, it is important for people to learn how to celebrate each other's differences. What is it that they are bringing on the table? Can you be gentle to be able to guide and to talk to one another with that gentleness? Because with the time, people begin to now allow themselves to be vulnerable. And you know, we said that this relationship is a journey. This journey being a journey that is being done by two imperfect people, therefore, they must refuse to give up on each other. And by so doing, you realize that somebody who, like for instance, I grew up in a family of teachers. I was raised by teachers. My father, an elderly man, right now he's 86. My mother is late. And you know, in my home, there were some words that were so precious. I am sorry. Excuse me. May I? You know, those primary school teachers of those days. Now, you get married to a person who, where they are coming from is like a military camp. And they do not even attach value to some of those words. I even used to dislike. You know, when you are using the same doors, someone is coming in and the other one is going out. Maybe one is walking out from the bedroom and the other one is coming in. And somebody cannot wait for you
to pass.
And you begin to rub each other's shoulders as you pass. It used to annoy me, you know? But are we gentle? Can we be kind to also narrate our stories of where we are coming from? Where did I learn this? How did I learn it? Can I unlearn it? Because life is a journey of learning, relearning, and unlearning. But many times we come wearing those lenses and we do not want to change. And it becomes a problem. Like this gentleman that I was talking about, he is fearful. And you know, he has a point. in what he's saying.
Yeah.
He doesn't want his wife to be
the mother.
The mother.
Yes.
But the question is, how about you? Whom shouldn't you become?
Yes.
You also need to look at yourself so that you can also be able to listen from this girl. You can be able to learn from where she's coming from, because our lives are lives of stories. Can we narrate our stories? Can we narrate our wounds? Can we be listened to? But some people, because of where they are coming from, instead of being good listeners, they are busy preparing missiles to fire back.
Yeah.
And in the process, and in the process of thinking, the missiles that you are going to use. You know, in Iran and Israel right now we are hearing ballistic missiles. And another one, I'm forgetting the name. People are busy preparing missiles, and in the process of preparing your missiles, you miss what was being said.
Absolutely.
And therefore your feedback will be off, and the fights will begin. In the recent past, I have handled a situation whereby spouses for the longest time, or couple for the longest time, they have hurt each other for many years. And you know what, Mwikali?
Yes.
That point of being in therapy room, and me as a therapist taking charge, and telling them, in this room, I would want us to hear one another. I would want us to get rid of the you statement, and we replace it with the I statements, so that you can ask yourself this very big question: what has been my contribution in making this man feel the way he's feeling? And what has been his contribution in making this woman become the kind of a woman that she has become? And I can tell you what, after sitting down and having time to listen to one another, they had time to say, sorry, my sweetheart, I didn't know that this is how I have made you feel all along my life.
Oh my goodness. And that's really powerful, because people go through their whole entire marriage without having heard those words, without ever listening or hearing, because we are always on combat mode.
We are always on combat mode.
We are always fighting. And I know our time is running out, and we said we have a couple of questions, and we still have to answer the questions that came in. Maybe we can just pick one, and then we pick one question, we answer two questions from WhatsApp. Yes, you can start with your name.
Okay, my name is Ali Prince. Before I answer the question, I want to add, by the way, before you enter into a relationship, you have to think first.
Yes.
Because, you know, relationship is by choice. Anybody that is not making you better, that is making you bitter, let them go. By the way, you know, in our generation, relationships inakaka jokes. Juu naambia mtu wewe nakupenda, unaona wewe hapana, mi huwa najikalisha chini najiambia, you me, do you have money? No. Do you have a stable job?
No.
Why do you want to enter to a relationship? Unataka kutoka kwa block aje? Unataka kujiongezea block. So, mi naona relationship, acha nitafute tu do kwanza.
Okay.
So, mi nilikuwa nasema hii story ya ati uheal kwanza ndo ingie kwa relationship. Na ukiingia tena ukuumize tena uheal, utakuwa una heal mara ngapi?
Utahil marangapi. I think we can have that answered with the other one, the question on WhatsApp that from, I think, Kawai, who said, is there a tutorial for healing? Because everybody's saying heal, heal, heal. What does it look like? Miriam, do you want to take that?
Well, I like what Ali has said, Ali Prince. First of all, that I like the fact that he's very self-aware. You see, and also secure, because this is a guy who's like me, this is my situation right now. Sina dosa, sina, you know, I'm still trying to make, why am I entering a relationship? I think that's the basis of everything. Asking yourself that question. Why am I entering a relationship? Why am I looking for this relationship? Am I looking to be fulfilled? Am I looking to be completed? Am I looking to be made, I don't know, something like to be made like I exist, to feel like I exist? Is that why I'm looking for a relationship? That's a very important question to ask. But what he's talking about healing is a lifelong journey. Like we said, you can start out being securely attached, but because of life experiences, you end up being anxious because of the person that you were in a relationship with. Healing will never end. But there's major healing, there's major trauma healing. It's not like as you're going on through life, now that you're big, that you're an adult, you're able to withstand traumas more than you could as a child.
Yeah.
The traumas that we're talking about you healing are those that you were as a child, and you were not able to shield yourself from those traumas because you are too young, you don't have the tools to, you don't have the capability, like you had no choice but to go through those traumas. Those are the major traumas that you need to heal. But others, as they come, as a grown-up, like Bishop said, this man would make a choice not to overreact over situations. That's part of healing. That's part of calling yourself in a meeting within yourself and saying, I choose to act differently. I choose to be a better person. I choose not to let this affect me. You know, even the way people say, you make me so mad. No, you chose to be mad. This person is just being who they are. So nobody can make you mad. Nobody can make you angry. Nobody can make you feel less. You choose to feel those things. And that's part of healing. That's part of self-awareness. Okay. What Kawai asked is this. How do you heal yourself? What is a tutorial? The first thing is self-awareness. Who am I? What affects me? What is ailing me right now? How do I react in certain situations? And what makes me react like that? You cannot start your healing, even when you go for counseling, if you cannot answer those questions for yourself. Okay. Because what are you bringing for counseling? In fact, when people come to me for counseling, individual counseling, I give homework. The homework I give them, go write for me an essay, who am I? And don't come tell me I'm a teacher. Don't come tell me what you do. Because that's what you do. That's not who you are. Don't come tell me you're a mother. If you didn't have children, who would you be? But who am I when I'm in my silence? Who am I? Because that's the beginning of everything. And from that essay, I can literally tell this person is going through this person has low self-esteem, this person. So those are the things we're going to work on. So you need to first answer that question within yourself. Who am I? And that means, how do I react in situations? Who do I show up as in particular situations, and why do I show up like that? Am I authentic? Because that's the thing that's killing people right now. I've read this book of I think it's titled something like 5 things that people talk about before dying. 5 regrets of dying people. And the main regret of dying people is that I never lived an authentic life. Wow. I never showed up as me. And you know why you don't show up as you? Because you never sit to ask yourself that question, who am I? And you know that question will tell you even why you're entering a relationship, because you could be entering a relationship to get that answer. I want to be seen. Maybe you don't feel seen within yourself. You know, so you're entering a relationship to be seen. You're entering a relationship to be validated. You're entering a relationship wanting healing. You see, and that answers the question of that other lady who keeps saying, I keep entering a relationship. You keep entering a relationship because you're looking, you cannot stand being you alone. You can't stand you. You don't know how to be on your own because you can't stand you. You want to be validated, so you can't validate yourself. And I see myself in that question. Some years back, I used to want to enter a relationship so badly because I was looking for validation from other people. If I don't feel seen, maybe when I enter a relationship, I'll feel seen. Maybe when I enter a relationship, I'll feel loved enough to know that I exist. Because sometimes you feel like you don't exist. What is my relevance in the world? What am I bringing to the world? So healing starts with self-awareness and answering that question. It's identity. Identity, who am I? And if I never ever get in a relationship, would I still continue existing? Would I still continue contributing to the world? Will I still have legacy without being a relationship? Because some people believe being in a relationship, having kids, being a mother, that's legacy. What if that never happens to you? What's your legacy? Exactly.
Very deep questions to ask self. And most of the times, again, we go through life without having to ask those very, very heavy questions. There was a question that was asked here on behalf of a brother, and maybe Pasi, Bishop, you can help us with this one. This is talking about the brother who is sort of insecure because of probably their height, and they've gone to tell us he's maybe 5'4", 5'5", which is about my height. It's not very short. Meaningful pesana. But there was a self-esteem issue there, and also the other lady who keeps being attracted to baby daddies.
The baby daddies. Let me start with the one of the lady being attracted to baby daddies.
Yes.
First and foremost, is a good thing. It's a very, very positive thing to be attracted to people who already have children. Because people are not just attracted to you because they have seen you that time. For them to want to have a relationship, they must have seen you, been around you, or maybe seen you go through some things and the way you handle them. And therefore, that informs or feeds into them feeling that although I have a child somewhere else, this would be the right person to understand me. So it's coming from a background of somebody who is very understanding. She must be very understanding, a person that is willing to accommodate. Because a relationship will not just, you met Mwikali on the street and you decide, now I love her. Because that we still call it, you know, that infatuation. You are just infatuated that time. But to get into a relationship, people study you for some time. And I'm sure for that lady, it's a plus, plus, plus. Although she may not want that, but first of all, she has to know that she has the very best attributes that somebody is looking at and getting attracted to, because they know they have a child somewhere. And I want to say something about baby daddies and baby mamas.
Yes.
Nowadays, I've realized that they are very open, that they're impregnant and they own up to being baby daddies, maybe because it doesn't come with so much responsibilities.
Yeah.
And I've seen that thing in the West, more so in America. I saw it so much that you meet a young girl and a young boy and they're co-parenting, you know, so to speak. I've seen it so much in America. So what I want to say is that it's not a bad thing. She should just evaluate herself, and if she's okay with who she is, you know, what we say in Christian premises is discover yourself to recover. If you discover yourself, you'll recover. And if that is what she is, motherly, loving, accommodative, then she's likely to attract even widowers.
Okay.
Even widowers who have children. You'll find that that is the same attribute. Because widowers don't just land on anybody.
No.
They want to look for somebody who, especially when they have young kids, who can take care of me and my children, or who can fit into our environment and not cause any tension. So I think it's a good thing. And I would see myself there. I'm one of them. I'm there. I'm like her. That's what I kept attracting. People who are widowers, you find somebody has a child like that. And I ended up with a widower. So it's not a bad thing, because that tells there's something special about her.
Absolutely.
Because it's not very easy to be in a relationship where there are other children. And still be there for almost 30 years like myself.
Tukienda break, tukienda kulipa bills. Remember, the question that we are asking you today is, what advice would you give your younger self, knowing what you know now? If you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, what would it be? Let me see if there's some that we've not read. Find someone who's good at communicating. This is Queen Ray on Facebook. Find someone who's good at communicating, someone who's ready to have conversations and not arguments, someone who thinks of you before doing anything to avoid stepping on your toes, a good communicator. All right. Kizito Daniel says, love yourself first before you pour love to anyone else. Rashid says, be at peace with yourself. Don't find it in your partner. Financial intelligence, emotional intelligence is very important. One key thing you should know, nobody is perfect. We all have flaws. Wewe mtu mngwana. A woman is a woman. Even if she comes from a golden kettle like a genie from Aladdin. Yes, Jay Major says, never let a woman know or think that she's the only one in your life. Always have options. Hey. Now let's take a break. Jamani, acha tuangalie WhatsApp wanasema nini. WhatsApp wanasema ya kwamba, hello, your world. I have been in marriage for 2 years now. I'm really struggling with my childhood traumas. I was brought up in an abusive environment where I never felt my father's love. I met this guy who's my husband now, though not legally married. He too takes alcohol, same way my dad used to. I've tried several times to talk to him, how I'm always heartbroken seeing him drunk. It eats me up. I feel like stepping out, but I remember at the same time, I'm a firstborn daughter who should stand strong for my mother and siblings. But to be honest, I'm drowning. Please help. Hey, I am Mac, 28. Being Men's Mental Health Month, I'm seeking your counsel. I have been grown up in a family of 6 where our father abandoned us, but we are now grown-ups. This childhood trauma has really affected me, especially at this age when I'm raising a young family without a job. I am constantly getting issues with my wife, and honestly, I am now getting it. Perhaps that's how I got it. How hot my dad got it. How can I get help? Hello, Mikali, Daniel from Isiolo. I love the show and I have a question. This issue of trauma and attraction, is it a must that any attraction be a trauma? And if so, how can one heal? How do you start? Please elaborate exclusively. Thank you. Hi, Mikali. I am Naiputa. What I tell my younger self is heal my childhood trauma from my dad who despised me, hated me, and killed my confidence in self. Now I'm in a relationship, but I don't feel loved, cheered, or supported. Help me, God. Take your time, never rush. That's the message Umi would tell her younger self. And we have one more. Hello, I am Rono. My relationship with my wife of 8 years is not working. We are heading to a serious separation. Please help. Okay, hello, Mikali. Why is it that I attract people who are ready to settle and build a family?
She's not.
Okay. Plenty questions. We will answer all of that and take some more from our audience in studio. But right now, let's take that quick break. We'll be right back.
Uondoke. Je, unaona
siondoki.
Uondoke.
Nipe nikupe. Uliza nikujibu.
Mimi naweza kukufanya one time president.
Vile Rigi anafanya hiyo KK sioni kibaki.
Ya ndani paruanja.
Kwa sababu ya hypocrisy, unafikiri mimi ni mbaya, nimemwajiri bibi yake hapo kwa cabinet.
Talaka za wekwa wazi.
William Ruto has destroyed Kenyan health system.
Ndoa mpya kutangazwa kazi.
Wakati wewe mwenyewe story zako za kuendelesha taifa lako ni kuhusu wewe mwenyewe.
Na wewe mwenyewe ukiulizwa wasemaje?
Tunaenda kwendi sawa sawa. Kweli na Mswahili alisema kidole kimoja kivunji.
Ni jukwaa lako la maswala ibuka. Dira ya siasa, uongozi wa taifa na kanda. Mduara kila Alhamisi saa 1 jioni na Frederick Mwitiriri na Lofty Matambo.
Nataka kujua plan yako ilikuwa gani? Ulikuwa unataka uendelee kujifanya kama hujui kusumi na babako mpaka lini?
How dare you, Tracy? Hii nyumba si yako. This is our house. You've never owned anything. Amason mwenyewe hajai own chochote. Kwanza msaliti huyu. He was so trusted by my father, but what did he do? Decided to stab him in the back.
Sensodyne gives you long-lasting protections against sensitivity. And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Ha! Denisi. Sasa wewe, Mr. Madeni. Kwa duka, Deni. Mama Boga, Deni. Kwa choya kajo, Deni. Ukilala Deni, ukiamuka madeni. Unasikiaje ukitembea na madeni? Hati harafu ukitembea unaduga denim. unatembea na maraana.
To get Daily by Skizana Nation, dial star 811 star 925 hash.
Skiza na Nation.
I'm Daisy and I'm here to report for work. I'm the new nurse.
Wewe ni ukuja hapa na kiburi tena ukajiandike kazi. Kwani uone hapo hivyo kuna line? Ungoje hiyo interview.
Wambo unajua 50 ni nini kwangu wewe? Wambo nataka pesa yangu wewe. Ama Kenya mzima itajua uko Kenya na unadanganya watu kwa Amerika.
Haki hapana.
Sly. Si unajua sisi ndio wale wa kujali maslahi. Yaani nakuambia ni vile hali ya uchumi imedorora. Ila tungekununulia keki kubwa hivi alafu tukupake kwa mashavu.
Nataka 24 mwezi wa 8. Mimi bado ni mdogo. Ni filter tu ya umaskini imenipiga hivi dadangu.
Anas Toto every Saturday at 8 p.m. on NTV.
The future of the retail customer has changed significantly, and we have seen increased adoption of digital capabilities across. That then brings a strong business case on how traditional corporate banks then can move quite swiftly into the retail market. There are particular areas where we are leveraging new technology. One obvious area is our lending. Our ability to react and provide appropriate lending structures. We are seeing an increase in NPLs based on the data that we have. But one of the things that's positive is that we're also seeing a turnaround in private sector credit growth.
Welcome back. And it always feels like 2 hours is not enough for this kind of conversation. Sijui kama maybe tunaweza get an extra 1 hour. Is it possible? Is it, now that I'm asking on air, maybe next week. But we're asking you today, ati swali ni nini eti? If you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, what would it be? If you could give advice to your younger self about relationships, knowing what you know now, what would it be? Kuna mtu amesema hapa kwa Facebook ya kwamba if you were born before 1990, wewe ndio unajua love. After 1991 ni magaidi tupu. Magaidi tupu tu. So sijui Gen Z kama mnajua mapenzi ama amjui. Tuko na feedback from WhatsApp and it goes to say it's Jerry from Ngong Road. This 3-week convo has been such a timely blessing. Thank you to all the panelists for bringing depth, vulnerability and wisdom. Each of your voices brought a unique lens to the topic. A special thanks to Askofu GD, Sasa Askofu, for debunking myths with boldness and grace, bridging the gap between the ideal and the real realities we face on the ground. You've truly spoken to hearts, not just minds. Asante sana. My question is to Bishop. As someone who counsels couples, how do you balance biblical principles with psychological realities like trauma bonding? That's a really, really good question. Hi Mwikali, mimi mapenzi niliwachia Wayahudi. Let me tell you, I have tried enough to commit. Lakini niulize Wayahudi. Okay. So to answer some of the questions that we had before, we take some more.
The brother to the one that was saying he wants a lady who is tall.
Yes, and the guys about 5'4".
First and foremost, I want to say that we were all wonderfully made by God. And when we go to Genesis 1:27, we were created in the very image of God, both male and female. And I want to say to him that the young man that is saying he wants a tall lady, but he doesn't seem to really get a positive response. I feel that love should not be dictated by height or the way the person has been, the configuration of the person. I think it's more of the souls connecting. I think it's more of the attraction that God brings about. And if you put aside the kind of person you really want, because we all thought when we were in school, especially for the girls, that we were going to get a tall, dark and handsome guy.
Yes.
But that did not happen. Some of us have ended up with a short and light, and they are still very good husbands. So what I want to say to the young man is that they should not really base themselves on that they are looking for this lady. The lady must be tall. The personality may not be what he wants, even if the lady is tall. Maybe what he should do is look for that person that will complement him, that person that they can stay together, that person that they can have a relationship, based on where he's coming from and where the lady is coming from. But if that is put that he must get that tall lady, he might end up very disappointed, because he may get the lady, but he's not the person that he really wants. So I want to say, let him be open-minded and focus more on the personality of the person, the kind of person, how they vibe, how they come together, how they communicate, and that will give them a vibrant relationship.
Absolutely.
But he should not look for that, maybe as a void that he wants to fill. I don't think he should approach it that way. He should allow it, open up, and allow to bring the right person to him.
Absolutely. That's really powerful. We can get one question, and then we'll have the panelists also double up the answer with another answer from our WhatsApp. Yes, Aguvasu.
Thank you. My name's Aguvasu Moses. First, before I ask my question to the panelists, especially Daktari and Bishop, to me, if I were to advise my younger self, I'll just tell my younger self, the young Aguvasu, to celebrate his uniqueness. Because all of us, as Daktari and Marianne have said, all of us, we are different, but the imperfections, when we come together, we have to celebrate each other's uniqueness and weaknesses.
Yes.
Having said that, my question is, and it is a biblical question. From the biblical point of view, all of us, men and women, we come from different backgrounds, like the story of Ruth and Naomi, from the Moabites, and the story of Boaz. So how in our present world, how do you link up? How do you link up when advising us, or when trying to make our souls heal? Because we have the millennials and we have the Gen Zs. The Gen Zs, they want experimental, everything to be ready there and there. But the millennials, they take time reading the trends. So how do you bridge the bonds between these two different generations?
Okay. We can have another question. Yes.
My name is Xavier. Let me just say, today I was talking about...
Please use this other mic. Thank you.
My name is Faith, the founder of Young Moms Network. And if today I were to advise myself, I could tell myself, heal and forgive and forget.
Okay.
Yeah, because most of the time, like for us millennials, when we move to the relationships, we don't go there to get true love. We go there to heal from the trauma that we have.
Okay.
You go there to get a shoulder to lean. But if I could have taken time to heal myself and forget about what I went through, I could see someone that is perfect for me. As Miriam said, that no one is perfect, and God will never give you someone who's perfect. He always gives us people who are imperfect for us to work on our flaws, to be perfect, to be one thing. So it's good to heal, to know yourself, and to understand what I want in that relationship. There is a guy who said he's looking for a woman who is tall, blah, blah, blah. One day I found myself dating a dwarf.
Actively date. Alikuwa nakukatia ama you actually dated them?
We dated, actually.
Okay.
And what I can say that love is not all about physical appearance.
Okay.
Love is bond. Love is sacrifice.
Yeah.
And to be honest, he might be a dwarf, but he plays his role as manhood in a perfect way. That's man that you're looking for.
Okay. And thank you for sharing that and for encouraging the brother.
Though it was hard because every time we were walking in the street, you could hear like.
So it was noises from outside.
I'm telling you, but I didn't listen to what they were saying to me because I knew what I was getting from this person.
Okay.
You get it?
Okay.
It was a true love.
Oh, wow. That is so sweet.
I could hold his hand and we walk majestically in those streets. Like what I tell my brother out there.
Yeah.
Don't look at physical appearance.
Yeah, there's so much more to that.
I'm telling you, look for someone who can sacrifice for you. Someone who can stand in that gap and say, he is my man. He can fight for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Hey, gentlemen, next to you had a question as well.
So I'm Sylvester Lumadeda Sanga. And my question is, when we try to heal and forget, but I don't forget. I just heal and I don't forget.
Your microphone just, yes,
I heal, but I don't forget.
You heal, but you don't forget.
Yeah, just from my childhood dramas, traumas, everything I have been through, so I have never forgotten anything.
Would you like to forget?
Yeah.
Okay.
How could I?
How do you do that? Great. Yes, Moffat on the go.
Sana. I want to mention two things very quickly.
Yes.
About what he said.
Yes.
About forgetting. Number one, I want to say that it's not possible to forget. I hear people talking about forgive and forget.
Yeah.
It's not possible to forget. However, forgiveness is a journey. It's not an event. It's not something that you wake up and it is gone.
Yeah.
But then I want to tell my brother that you have truly forgiven when you remember the hurt, but you don't feel hurt.
Yeah.
Okay? You remember, but you don't feel hurt.
The pain.
You know that is what it means. Because the way we are wired, our brain is like the computer. The things that we experience, we throw it in the trash bin. And the moment you have a trigger, your brain has a way of, within a fraction of a second, jump into your subconscious mind and retrieve that information that you had many years ago.
Yes.
So it's not possible. The way we have been wired, you cannot forget. But the question is, remember, but you don't feel hurt. If you still feel hurt, you need to be assisted. I also want to mention on the issue of mindset and attitude.
Yes.
Regarding even that gentleman who is wanting to date a tall lady.
Yes.
It is all about self-concept, self-image, and some of the narratives that have been spoken by the society around us. And you find yourself taking up that label, those stereotypes, and you begin to walk by that. And again, the distorted, we have what I call the distorted patriarchal definition of manhood or masculinity. We have, as Africans, we have very distorted definition of masculinity. Number one, it is always seen as a sexual conquest. People will talk about how many girls I have dated, I have slept with, and stuff like that. And even there are some people, the reason why they want to get married to that woman, it is so much sexual than any other reason.
Yeah.
And many times when I'm doing premarital counseling, I'll ask this question: what is your philosophy of marriage? That really needs to be answered, because all those fantasies and those beautiful things and sexual things that come to our mind, they come to an end. They keep on disappearing. So somebody might want to ask that question, and that is the reason why, Mwikali, I usually have programs to empower even boy child. All the way from rite of passage, done by professionals, working with these people so that we can help them redefine some of these things. Some of the traumas they have acquired because of the absence of their fathers. The father wounds. Many times, fathers do not understand this, and allow me to say this very quickly, that a father is a source and a sustainer. The original Hebrew meaning of the word father is a source and a sustainer.
Okay.
And every time a source is hurting, for example, if a river is diluted upstreams, downstream, people cannot drink that water.
That's true.
And fathers are the ones who carry generations.
Yes.
And because of that element of boys who will be fathers tomorrow, I like it when I hear somebody say that Gen Zs are they do
Experimenting.
they are experimenting,
Yes.
and they say they do not know how to love.
Yeah.
It is not their problem. It is the source.
Source.
You know, the source of all that, what they have observed.
Yes.
And that is some of the things that we are trying to help people unlearn, children unlearn. From grade 8, we take them through initiation, and we help them. We integrate a lot of things, including spirituality, to help them rediscover themselves and rewrite their stories and be able to redefine their masculinity, be able to get rid of this deceptive masculinity that does not know how to take a no for an answer. Somebody will travel from Thika to Eldoret to kill a girlfriend. We saw that on in the news. Something that we call normative male alexithymia. That is when a man's feelings are so much negative feelings to the point that he lacks the language to express how he feels. That is why somebody will travel that 300 kilometers from Thika.
You think akifika Nakuru itaishaisha.
Itaishaisha.
No.
Sometimes I used to ask myself, you did not even encounter a hawker who is coming to sell sweets in that matatu
and distract
to help you calm down. This is somebody who really needs help. And I would say that men as the sources and sustainers in our society, we have missed it. And we need to start down there with the boys, help them to be different people, and boys who can look at their girls and live with them and look at them as their sisters, begin to love them from that point.
Absolutely.
Before it graduates to this other kind of love. But then we need to agree that we need to have to deconstruct our minds as far as loving and tying it around sexuality and all that. There is a question that Gen Zs are not answering. Let me tell you, as we ask about what that man is bringing on the table, and I hear you people, you have even redefined men, that mwanaume ni gari, mwanaume ni wallet, mwanaume ni shamba, mwanaume ni loan, mwanaume ni kiatu na mshipi. We need to ask ourselves, even the Gen Z girls, even as we look at what we want to pick from the box, what are we bringing into the box? That's a question we need to answer.
Okay. And just before we come back to Aguvasu's question and the question that was asked to Askofu GD. Before we come to that, maybe Miriam, you can pick up some of definitely maybe some of the questions that were asked on our WhatsApp earlier. I'm trying to remember as well. Oh God, okay. Maybe Askofu can just answer the question as we think about the questions that were asked.
The way he was talking about trauma
and biblical teachings and psychological principles.
Yes. I think everything emanates from God. The source is God. It depends on how he wants to look at it. But what I would say is that when we talk about psychological, is what we have been tackling here, the kind of attachments that are there, the kind of personalities that are there. And then when I come to the biblical point, is that there was a reason why God made sure that Adam was not alone. He needed a companion. And therefore, relationship is about companionship. If you look at it from the start, companionship, being able to relate with one another, talk to one another, and eventually develop into that relationship that will end up in marriage. That will be very important, because we have talked about all these attachments and the personalities, and we have been told sometimes you tend to attract your trauma. But I believe also, if you take your time, you'll discard your trauma and get the right person for your marriage. Because it's not everybody you settle with. Before we got here, we kissed so many frogs. as it used to be said.
Yeah.
You met this one, you met the other, and you realize we are not getting along.
Yeah.
And you took a flight from some of them, you know, as a trauma response. And then later you are able to rebuild yourself, look at yourself, self-awareness, and then ended up with somebody. So I want to talk to whoever brought up that question from Gong Road, that all this is important. They come into play.
Yes.
You don't have to ignore anything.
Yeah.
And if you're coming from a traumatic home, and you're dealing with some kind of attachment that is not right, then the best thing is to heal first. That's what we have been advised by the therapists.
Yeah.
Heal first before you go
Get
on
into
with the
a
relationship.
We have microseconds.
I want to add something small to what Bishop Grace has said.
Yes.
I think, and I'm talking in regard to what Jerry has asked, therefore I'm talking to Christians. I think it's very important to trust God in this journey of when you're praying for a partner.
Yeah.
One, God knows you more than you know yourself.
That's true.
God knows the other person more than you know yourself. Sometimes when you pray and ask God for a partner, He will give you what you need, not necessarily what you want.
Yeah.
And why will He give you what you need? Because He knows exactly this is a person who's going to come with their calmness, with the kind of background they've come from. They've come from a whole background. They're going to come with that wholeness and peace and gentleness enough to heal you, to become the person that you're supposed to become. As Bishop Grace has said, the Word of God says, He looked at man and realized he needed a companion. He sent him a helper. I've said here previously, and I'll say it again. The name helper in the Bible, in Hebrew, the name used as helper for woman is the same name used for Holy Spirit, Ezer.
Yes.
You know, the Holy Spirit comes to comfort, comes to help, comes to teach, comes to advocate, that's the role of a woman, of a partner in this man's life. And God will give you the one who will complement you, a helper suitable for you and your journey and your purpose. Before God gave Adam a wife, he had purpose. And He brought him a helper suitable for him to help him with that purpose, for them to arrive where they're supposed to arrive together. So when you go to God and pray for a partner, He gives you who's suitable for you according to to the purpose of the man and your purpose, so that you can go to the same direction at the appointed place that God has for you. I think it's very important to incorporate spirituality with all this. We can't do it on our own.
It's not one versus the other. Absolutely. And we are way past midday. And just to come to the end of this, maybe quickly in 10 seconds each, what advice would you give to your younger self, starting with you, Moffat, as we come to the end in 10 seconds?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mwikali. What I would say, and perhaps related to the gentleman who said that the father left them and he feels like he was served hot, something like that, I would want to tell him he needs to rewrite his story, because his caregivers made him to probably have a wrong view of life. That is not what the world ought to give. And therefore he can do better.
Okay. That's your parting shots. Bishop?
I am happy where I am.
Yes.
There's nothing else I would do about my relationship.
And your younger self? What would
my younger self is speaking now. I'm happy where I am.
Oh, good stuff. And for you as well, Miriam?
I would say that life is a journey, and it's a journey that needs you to keep self-evaluating all through. Where you started is not where you're going to end, and you're not stagnant. So keep self-evaluating yourself, being self-aware, growing and healing. It's a journey, a lifelong journey.
Thank you so much. Asanteni sana. Sana. My amazing audience as well, asanteni sana. Thank you so much, Miriam. Thank you, Bishop. Thank you, Moffat, as well. And 3 weeks later, we have come to the end of this conversation. And the one thing is that it is a journey. We have to keep at it. That when you feel like you're at the end, imagine you're not. There's so much more that you can do. There's so much to learn, relearn, and learn, and you can do all of that because the resources are out there. So what we try to do is be better, do good, be good, because when you do all of that, you absolutely feel good. Okay? So have a good day. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Adios.